Sup everyone, welcome back to another video, and we're actually here live on stream. I've turned chat to members only because YouTube is cringe and don't let me do emotes only. So yeah, all the members are here. We actually had a pretty lengthy discussion talking about Nahida, both pros, cons. It's not just pertaining to gameplay and her power levels because that's boring. We have to talk about business side of things. We have to talk about HoYoVerse and how monetization has evolved through the utilize of these staple characters such as Archons. And Nahida being the Dendro Archon, you guys are actually already experiencing one of HoYoVerse's newly experimented monetization models, and that is having new limited 5 stars reliant on other limited 5 stars. Now you guys might be thinking, well, no, Walrus, in the past, right? Hu Tao needs Zhongli. I don't know, like, are there more examples? Like staple 5 stars, limited 5 stars that need other limited 5 stars? You see, I'm really drawing a blank. I guess you can say Yoimiya also needs Zhongli. Stuff like that. People might even go as far as, well, Ayaka needs Kokomi. But I think that's starting to be a bit of a stretch. But right now, Nilou definitely feels like she needs a better Dendro applicator. Having 2 Dendro characters in her team right now just feels like they're, especially a 4-star at that, right? I understand it's a free-to-play friendly team. There's value in having this team being available to people who picked up Nilou. Not everybody who picked up Nilou is going to pick up Nahida, but a large portion of people likely are. And more so, people are picking up Nahida not just for Nilou. So I understand this is not like the biggest of issues. However, if we examine things from the past, let's start with Venti. When we first got into the game, Venti was like the first limited character. He was an Archon, right? Well, back in the day, what did we know? We didn't know anything like artifacts and whatnot, like value in constellations. People kind of just went in and did it. Looking back, Venti was like an irreplaceable piece of I would say high performance character that pretty much single-handedly carried anybody who had him through the game until patch 1.6, 2.0 came around. Almost that entire year, Venti just smashed everything, right? And Zhongli came out sometimes like just a couple months later, and with his initial release, he was underwhelming, but with his buff, he once again became a staple. And this is when HoYoVerse really kind of zoned in on Archons and how they could be great monetization tools. And here is the big experiment they did with the Electro Archon Raiden Shogun. So Raiden Shogun came along, and HoYoVerse decided, well, you know what? We want better ways to monetize these characters. So why not, instead of scaling the power all the way up to C6, why don't we just, yeah, still scale it up to C6, having value there, but why don't we shift around the primo to power value? What I mean by that is, it doesn't need to be at C6 to have the best investment to return value. Why not C2? So that's why Raiden Shogun's banner till this day is one of, I guess, the single best performing banner. If you want to look at reruns combined, like 2 character banners together, the Kazuha rerun, I believe, was the best. But the Raiden Shogun banner single-handedly just like broke all the metrics that HoYoVerse had up until that time. And that's when they realized recalibrating the value for constellations instead of C6 to C2 made it much easier for people to convince themselves to dump the money. So why am I saying this? The Dendro Archon is going to be coming out in a short week or so. Like, I don't know, like it's coming out soon. But the thing is, right now HoYoVerse is experimenting with a new monetization model. I already know without even looking at leaks that the C2 for the Dendro Archon is going to be another sweet spot. HoYoVerse is really just trying to replicate their success with the Electro Archon, now with the Dendro Archon, and trying to add more monetization tools. So the whole point of releasing Nilou before Nahida is so you can play this character, feel the inadequacies, feel what she is lacking, and then find that in Nahida, find that in the Dendro Archon, right? These 2 pieces of jigsaw puzzles should line up perfectly with each other. And on top of that, of course, Nahida C2 is going to be insanely valuable. So hopefully, right now, of course, at HoYoVerse HQ, they're like, if we play all our cards right, hopefully Nahida smashes Electro Archon's record. Now, I've reached this point. And I don't know what to say to this. It leaves a bitter taste in my mouth, right? Like just now I was trying to recall in what scenario when the Electro Archon came out, did she complete any teams that were waiting on her arrival? Or was she simply a new character that could fit into old teams? Maybe part of the charm of the Electro Archon was the fact that she could fit into old meta teams. So now let's evaluate that for the Dendro Archon, right? Because that's a very important part of what Archons are supposed to do. They're supposed to be, first and foremost, flexible. It's no point in having a powerful character that is locked behind 1 to 2 teams. They have to be universal in some way, shape, or form, so to allow them to synergize with more than just one teams. And I think the beauty of the Dendro Archon is she is the culmination of all that Hoyoverse has learned when designing Archons, starting from Venti to Zhongli to A, and now to Nahida. So looking at her synergy potentials, likely she is going to further increase the value of the Quicken team comps with Electro and stuff. So think of Ching, Beidou, Sino, hopefully, fingers crossed. Right now I'm a Sino owner. I skipped Nilou. I chose to go with Sino. It's kind of like a Pokemon starter situation. So I hope there's going to be some sort of synergies there, but I know for a fact that Electro likely will get another facelift. So people who have been experimenting with Kaching teams and stuff, just expect that to feel even better now. And of course, eradicating the need of double Dendro in Nilou teams, now dropping it to just likely a single Dendro unit, gives access to an additional Hydro character. So now suddenly older characters like Ayato, like Tartaglia, suddenly can find their way into new meta teams that have Kokomi, Nilou, let's say Ayato and Nahida. These are all amazing things, and this is key in selling Nahida to the general public, and also making sure that older characters are now also being incentivized. So let's say somebody who just got into the game pulled Nilou and now they end up with Nahida. Wow, they got so lucky. Looking for, they don't have Kokomi and they don't have Ayato or Tartaglia. What does that do for those characters? It's going to drive their sales up. So for people who have these characters, are likely going to be funneled now into future rerun banners for Kokomi, for Ayato, or for Tartaglia, right? Like this, from the business perspective, this all flows together extremely well. As we are right now hearing about this, analyzing this, and just realizing that this is the future we are walking towards. You know, I did a poll here on my live stream, and 40%, maybe a little less, like 38-40% of the people who were here in chat were okay with it, but there were definitely people who voiced their concerns, be like, well, it doesn't change the fact that Nilou teams are still extremely niche. She's likely forever going to be locked behind synergies with only Hydro and Dendro characters, and likely the only Dendro she'll ever see till the end of time is going to be Nahida. I mean, look at national teams. Like, national team has been meta since the beginning, and it's still meta now. And is Nahida ever going to shake up the meta in any way, shape, or form? Is Nahida introducing a new meta, building on top of currently available meta, so like national and then Nahida meta? Or is it going to be national and then Nahida meta is just going to be like a branch off of this national tree that we have going on? Like, is national like the bark of the tree and everything else is just going to be a branch off of that bark? We don't know. It's very fascinating to me that Hoyoverse, in order to continue to hold value in their rerun banners, meaning that they want these 4 stars to be good enough incentives for people to pull on limited banners. It's very easy to skip a 5-star banner if the 4 stars start to lose value. Does that make sense? Let's say how many people would have pulled on the original Albedo banner had Bennett not been on the banner, right? So it's the same thing. I think Hoyoverse realizes the importance of 4-star values on these banners, because a lot of what free-to-plays have to get excited for are also 4-star constellations. Keeping the value of national, making sure the staple 4 stars from back in 1.0 still retain their value is one of the top priorities, I believe, at HoYoverse headquarters. That means Nahida, when she does get introduced, she's definitely going to be a branch off from what we currently have available, but I find it difficult for her to kind of smash National or smash the status quo of what we currently have going on. And I don't know how I feel about that. I know people are bored to death with what National has to offer. Sure, it's a powerful team, it's extremely efficient, and it just crushes content, and any free-to-play after playing the game for a little bit can easily put together that team, but it's not fun anymore, okay? And Genshin is not hard enough where you need to be running the most efficient thing available. Does Nahida change that? This is really the $1,000,000 question here. And going forward for Natlin, for Fontaine, the Pyro Archon and Hydro Archon respectively, how will they play around with the metascape? Because Dendro is a new element and all this stuff is just new, I don't know how Nahida is going to shape them. But the Pyro Archon, the Hydro Archon going forward, they're going to build off monetization models that have been successful in the past. So it's going to be the culmination of Venti, Zhongli, A, Nahida, and then into whatever the Pyro Archon or Hydro Archon is. Like, for example, when Natlin rolls around, are we going to have characters that come out that needs the Pyro Archon to synergize with them to feel powerful and impactful? And on top of that, of course, the C2 has to be heavily incentivized, and then like it's going to also reshape the meta. And maybe the Pyro Archon is also going to be an upgraded version of Xiangling, which we've been dying to get. So many questions, we just don't have enough answers. Apart from Nahida coming out to recently, we also have new Sumeru characters that are non-Dendro coming out, like Dehya, and I believe is who's the other one? Wasn't there one more, or that's it? Hytham is Dendro, so I guess Dehya is the last non-Dendro character that was teased right back then. Correct me if I'm wrong. So how's Dehya gonna work? Is Dehya gonna work also with the Dendro Archon? You only have one Dendro Archon. She can't be in like 20 different teams, especially if you have first half, second half of the Abyss, right? How reliant are new characters to the single limited character? She's likely going to be the route towards a lot of these new metas, but there's only one of her, right? So this video is coming out before the 3.2 live stream. I know it actually leaves more questions than answers, but right now that's what's been on my mind. It's just racing through this stuff. Since I don't look at leaks, I don't have concrete answers, and I'm going to be looking towards the 3.2 live stream, seeing Nahida's kit to kind of piece everything together for myself going forward. What can we expect? Because once we have Nahida's kit, it's much easier to predict other characters' kit once we have the centerpiece. It's like a jigsaw puzzle that she connects to a lot of different characters. Once we have the centerpiece, it's much easier to build off of that. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to comment down below what you think of Nahida and how does it make you feel that HoYoverse is now releasing 5-star characters that are essentially reliant on other limited 5-star characters, especially one like the Dendro Archon being such an important character in the Dendroscape. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. I'm going to be watching the live stream in a couple hours here, so if you guys want to, you can tune in right here on my YouTube channel. I'll see you guys then. Thank you guys, chat. I hope you guys have behaved. I'm going to be editing this video, and hopefully I don't see any really weird Sasibaga stuff going on. No shenanigans, and I'll see you guys next time. Make sure to tune into live streams. You guys could be in videos if you are well behaved. Thank you, and bye.